my name is Samantha Spillers, and I am doing a close reading project to the letter of Sam Adams from Richard Henry Lee. After the Revolutionary War, the people wanted a new government different from what they previously had, so they created their own. It took many years, but in 1783, when the war ended, the Articles of Confederation were in use, which was a rough draft of what they wanted to be the new government. In 1783, America had an abundance of debt from the cost of war. That was one of the main problems that they wanted to overcome in this new government. In 1784, the Treaty of Paris was ratified with no agreement of trade between Great Britain and the U.S. Also in 1784, cities grew and more than 4,000 immigrants came over, which led to many cities booming, including Boston, led by Sam Adams, which he also was the governor of Massachusetts. Less than a year later, the same summer of 1785, post-war economic depression occurred, leaving the booming cities with bankruptcies, business out of order, and shortage of currency. Also high taxes. Many looked to the new government to see how they would prevent these problems. In a letter to Sam Adams, Richard Henry Lee gives his opinion on what could be done. Richard Henry Lee is known as one of the forgotten fathers due to the fact that his opinion was important but not always known. His first insight into his journey in the government was when he was elected House of Burgesses in Virginia during the war. He was a believer in being independent from Britain and helped with the Bill of Rights. In 1777, he was elected to attend the First Continental Congress and served Congress through the war. Many years later, taking presidency in Congress in 1783, he was always a believer in the Constitution having too much power over the states, which will be easily seen in the letter. One fact that is found interesting by all is that he was against slavery. His views consisted of him wanting the states to have more power, and he was an anti-federalist and believed that the debt of the war of the new country should have been paid off. The letter starts off with a nice greeting between Lee and Adams, which definitely sets the tone as a laid-back yet serious response to Adams' first letter. The majority of the letter speaks out what Lee feels is necessary to do to get the government out of debt and on its feet. He states that he feels the eyes of the world are upon us, meaning that this is the first time any country has tried this type of government, and the world is looking to see how it works. This is true due to the fact that the French have a revolution right after ours, yet theirs ends differently. Lee speaks about how this new government, there are new expectations. He touches on the violence aspect. Many would feel that it is directed towards the state problems or state-for-state problems. He states that endless carnage and evil without bounds must be the result, showing that all countries led by tyranny ends in evil. So that this new government created, we should avoid fighting within the government. Lee is very religious and believes in Christian philosophies, and even though many don't agree with mixing state and church, Lee believes that mutual forgiveness is important. He explains that all states can work together to fight against British tyranny. We can work together to form a new government and have no fighting. Changing directions a little bit more, he touches on the revising of the Articles of Confederation by stating that revenge on Britain is not allowable. He states that Congress shouldn't have any more power. It would seem as if there were general jealousy beyond the waters of the powerful effects to be deprived from Republican virtue here, so that we hear a constant cry of hence, echoed and re-echoed, here by all expectants from the Treasury of the United States, that Congress must have more power, that we cannot be secure and happy until Congress commands implicitly both purse and sword, so that our Confederation must be perpetually changing to answer sinister views in the greater part, until every fence is thrown down that was designed to protect and cover the rights of mankind. I think, sir, that the first maximum of man who loves liberty should be never to grant the rulers an atom of power that is not most clearly and indispensably necessary for the safety and well-being of society. But Lee does it by saying how there is jealousy in the water and that other countries want us to think we need to give Congress more power. But Lee feels that no man should ever give a ruler more power unless it is intuitive or necessary for that society to move forward. So this doesn't happen to the Confederation. Lee feels Congress shouldn't get more power because it might turn into a tyranny by the fact that the power is poisonous. The fact is that power poisons the mind of its possessor and aids him to remove the shackles that restrains itself. which is stating that a person that wants more power will remove the people who support him so that he can have even more power. If Congress is given more power, Lee feels that one man will stand up and do this. He states that no change should ever be approved unless it is accepted by the most important politicians in the government. Next, Lee writes about the depth aspect of the government. From him being a strong statesman, he believes that each state should just honestly pay back the government. He also expresses his beliefs and feelings towards the Confederation having the right to tax and control it, which he disagrees with because he believes that the amount of states' revenue should control the tax. He then says that no man likes to see an increase in imports because that means less revenue for him, but it would be a good way to get out of debt. By closing the letter, he states how he wishes to detach from European politics but feels it wouldn't be a good idea for the country. After that, Lee expresses how he feels too ill but would love to hang out with Sam Adams sometime. The letter itself is formal yet serious and has some sort of kick to it. Lee expresses the way our government should work by comparing it to Britain and the tyranny which is effective because it shows the direct cause of our new government and how our government can fall right back into it. The letter had no direct effect on history, but when Sam Adams reads it, he probably was thinking, and those thoughts alone shaped our government. Shortly after 1785, Congress passes the Land Ordinance of 1785, which adds new land and more profit to the country, helping our government get out of debt, which was the main problem.